the Buffalo Treasure, Hall of Fame coach Marv Levy. Well, I didn't want to go too far there. I didn't want to overstep. I don't know what the rest of the country thinks, but we know he's a Buffalo Treasure for sure. Marv, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank goodness. They're in this terrible coronavirus pandemic, and you guys sound like you are too. I sure hope that's the case.
Yeah, it is. Thanks for asking.
Everybody's doing well when we win the division, Marv. I know you used to take it for granted, but we heard that you sent an email to Sean McDermott. I know you have a good relationship with him. What was your message to him, and what made you want to reach out to him?
Well, yeah, I have a high regard for Sean. I have gotten to know him a little bit. I don't overburden. On rare occasion, he might contact me to ask a question. I've been impressed with his approach, with how he's doing it, with his total organization idea, with his William and Mary background. I've always had great respect for those William and Mary guys. I coached there for 5 years, and they were really wonderful overachievers. You know one, a former teammate of yours, Steve, and Mark Kelso, high character. Anyway, I've been in touch with Sean from time to time. I certainly haven't overburdened him. But my message, to answer your question finally, was just to congratulate him, to wish him well down the line, to tell him that I realize it's his whole organization that wins, to pass that along. And then I told him, okay, that's it. Get back to work on the next game plan.
Yeah. So Marv, did you have an opportunity to watch the game live, or did you just kind of get wind of the final score and then said, "Oh, let me fire off an email there"?
I saw most of the game live. I did, yes.
Okay, so with that in mind, did it stir up any memories of your own there? A little reminiscing, if you will.
Well, no, every game is different, and it's much different. Being involved to the degree that I was at the time, and you know, all the preparation you go through. I don't know the full roster right now. I don't know the coaching staff right now, and I've always said it when people would give me credit for our wins, that it's not just a good quarterback, not just a good coach. It's a coach. It's total organization that wins. So I'm rambling all over the place, but the feelings are much different, of course, where I am now than they were when I was down on the field during the course of a game.
Marv, how far do you think a team like the Buffalo Bills on a year like this can go? I know we had back in 1988, we came a little bit out of nowhere from a team that was, after the strike year of 1987, we rolled out and went 12-4 and lost in the AFC Championship game. And a little bit out of nowhere. Now, while the Bills have been out in the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years, they're a little bit less out of nowhere. People expected them to be good, but just kind of relate how valuable an opportunity this is.
Well, it is valuable, and it's going to be that don't forget, for other teams, too, who are avidly prepared. And I don't think there's one thumbnail explanation I can give. It's exciting, but don't let it overwhelm you. Go to work. The partying is not for the players and coaches. Let the fans do that. You concentrate on preparation. Even in a game that you might win, it won't all go your way. Be ready to bounce back. Preparation. Because as Benjamin Franklin once said, failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Yeah, amen to that. Marv, I don't know how many of the Bills games you've managed to catch this year, but if you have caught a few of them, is there something in particular that you're particularly fond of with this group? And I'm talking players on the field now. I know you've already expressed your affinity for Coach McDermott and his staff, but with this team, this group of men that you see out there every week, is there something that particularly appeals to you about this group?
Well, I can't nail it down or I'll miss some. Everybody knows a good quarterback, and they sure do have one right now in Josh Allen. That's obvious, but it takes far more than just a good quarterback, and Jim Kelly will tell you that too. Frank Reich will tell you that. By the way, he's having quite a bit of success.
Yeah.
in Indianapolis, another guy of high character. So I'm rambling around in my answer, but that's because I can't give you a right-on-the-money explanation.
Marv, how impressed have you been with the National Football League's ability, and we've talked about the pandemic a couple of times, with the NFL's ability to get this season up and running and not miss a – we've had some games shuffled around and the schedules had to be massaged, but the fact that the NFL has gotten this entire season in, I think may be the most startling development of the entire football year.
Very good point. Excellent point. And, yes, they are to be commended. I have always had very high regard for Roger Goodell, and once again, I'll take that further. Again, it isn't just a great commissioner. I'm sure he has. I don't know them all or many of them. A fine staff working with him. And so, but the NFL has done a magnificent job during these very trying times of keeping the season going, keeping the fans interested, and adapting.
Marv, just with respect to the build that this front office regime kind of undertook 4 years ago, I know you kind of came on board here in '86 with Bill, and you guys had a plan and a vision, and then you had to go about taking the steps to put a roster together that propelled you guys to 4 straight AFC titles. I'm not putting that on this team, but just with respect to the build and the way they kind of took it a step at a time, no quick fixes, if you will, what's to be said about the construction project that they undertook here that's now kind of bearing fruit?
Well, you've expressed it extremely well. It takes time. It's a construction process. You appoint in the organization some who the fans probably have no idea who's who or what they're doing, but people working. Again, it isn't just a great quarterback or coach. It's a total organization that wins, and no one I've ever known was more into how total organization works than Ralph Wilson, the owner, and then is appointing guys like Bill Polian and director of play personnel John Butler and so many others in the organization who the fans don't know of that contributed. And by the way, also contributing are the fans. And I don't know, I can remember after we lost that first Super Bowl game and the crushing disappointment that fans and our players felt, and certainly Scott Norwood, who his field goal went very slightly outside the right upright. When we came back to Buffalo, all the fans that greeted us there, and they chanted for Scott to talk. And I remember Scott, who was really a little bit of a quiet, stay-to-himself guy, saying, "Because of you, we will be motivated to go back." Boy, he hit it on the head. The fans helped it.
Yeah, exactly right, Marv. Now we've got to ask you this. There's 2 games left in the regular season. The Bills are the AFC East champions. They really are out. They're out of the running for getting a bye week in the early, because there's only one bye week this year to the top-seeded team. They can't reach that, but they have got the championship. 2 games left, and then no bye week. They go straight into the playoffs. What do you think Sean McDermott should do about resting players or playing players? I don't know if we did it. I think we might have done it a couple of different ways. Obviously, we're in the playoffs, but what's your philosophy about how fresh you want to hit the playoffs and how sharp you want to stay while getting there?
My impression is that's his call, because you don't know who he does want to protect, who he does want to get playing time for. That's the type of thing. Advice. I remember once Ralph Wilson wanted me to fire a couple of assistant coaches for reasons that were wrong, and I persisted, and I realized I was putting myself in a position where I might get fired. When I finally got done, Ralph said to me, "I still don't agree with you, but you're the coach." And so, as far as Sean is concerned, he may make a decision that I would have made differently, but he's the coach.
Yeah. The last one I've got for you, Marv, is, and I think we touched on it a little bit earlier, but we saw this team go to the playoffs last year, lose a game in heartbreaking fashion Josh Allen said he wasn't going to get over that until they started playing games again, which, as you know, is a sizable gap between January and September. But I kind of liken it to maybe some of the lessons your players learned in the game that Steve referenced, losing that AFC title game in '88, and how that may have, I don't know what the right word is here, made them more battle-tested, hardened them, gave them a lesson as to what playoff football is and how you have to play once you get to the second season. I'm wondering if you feel like the Bills, that will serve the Bills well as they go back to the postseason this year.
Well, I don't know the players on that team very well at all, but I do recall that when I was when I joined the Bills with Bill Polian and Ralph Wilson, we made an agreement that we would bring aboard our team only people of high character. How do they bounce back from disappointment was one of the qualities when in a high character. And so I'm hoping that that's what the Bills are made of now as well. And like I say, I don't know them. My impressions are all favorable from this distance. So, like hundreds of thousands of others right there, I'm pulling for the Bills. I'm a Bills fan.
Marv, I just want to say thanks for coming on with us. I know you're going to get inundated because every time the Bills have success, everybody wants your word on it. And I can't tell you how much of a treat it is for Brownie and I to have you on the show today. Thanks so much. Happy holidays and all our best to Fran and the family.
Same to all of you. Always great to talk with you, and go Bills.